In this video, I'm going to break down how I made over $40,000 this month, my exact strategy, the setups that I'm using, and the prop firm that I'm doing it with. And just as a preface, this is not to brag. I am documenting the process. I want to be able to look back at this in a couple of years and see how my strategy has evolved, and just to kind of hold myself more accountable instead of just going through the constant pass an evaluation, maybe get a payout and then blow that account. I'm trying to document the whole process to keep this account active as long as I possibly can, with the intent of eventually going to a live account. So if you're interested in that, if anything in this video resonates with you, if you also trade with Funded Futures family, drop some comments down below and let me know any questions you guys might have. So let's hop into the dashboard and break it down. So I am currently trading the 150K Premier Funded Futures family accounts. If you're not familiar with them, you can have up to 4 accounts, which you can see right here. I have 4 that I copy trade on the 𝚑𝚒𝚒𝚒𝚒 platform. Each of these has a balance of $10,000. As you can see, you click in here, there is a little bit of a difference between each accounts because sometimes when you flatten all, when you're in a trade, there is a little bit of difference with the trade copier, but for the most part, they're all within a $100 balance. Now, this video is not an in-depth video on the account rules, the payout process, or anything like that. If you are interested, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel because I will be covering that in the future. Now, this is not typical, but I have been averaging right around $1,000 trading, and you can see I've had roughly a 57% win rate. Now, I already know the first comments down below are going to be, that's a lot of trades, you trade too much, you overtrade, and don't get me wrong, I get it, but I am a scalper and I also take a lot of trades that I get trailed out of a little too early, so I re-enter, which is something that I'm working on. Ideally, I would like to take less than 5 trades per day, but I do scale in and out of trades, which makes that number a lot bigger. Now, we'll hit the refresh button here just because apparently nowadays everyone's photoshopping their P&Ls and profit screens and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't follow any of that. I stay off of Twitter. I'm just going to document my process, stay in my lane, stay out of the drama. But if you want to see all the numbers, this is the numbers, pause, screenshot, roast me in the comments, whatever. And in the case that you're not familiar with prop firms, this is all currently paper money on a simulated paper trading environment. None of the money is real until it actually hits your bank account after making sure you follow all the rules. Now, this is my first time going through the payout process with Funded Futures family. I'm going to document the whole thing, but the very first payout that I requested, which was $3,000 across 4 accounts, so a $12,000 payout, did get denied. And this is not to spread any FUD. This was actually on me. I had created, multiple accounts when I swapped from my personal to my business account. So you cannot have more than 1 account with a prop firm. If you do, make sure you get that fixed through customer support before you go to request a payout. Now, since this was a terms of service breach, I just have the trade for another 7 days with $200 of profit to request the next payout. And if you want to see that process, like I said, make sure you like and subscribe because I will be making a video of that whole process moving forward. So enough ranting, let's actually hop into the charts and go through a couple live trades. So on the left here, we got 𝚑𝚒𝚒𝚒𝚒, and on the right, we got the Thinkorswim platform that I'm using to monitor the VIX and the indices. And to simplify my entire strategy, it's momentum and price action based off of supply and demand while watching the volatility index. So if we zoom in, we can see we had a previous level of resistance that turned support. I don't like to catch the initial break. I like to see the retest just so I don't get caught in that false breakout, which is where I think a lot of traders struggle. And you can see that as a prime example because we initially swept that high a day and pulled back 50 points immediately, which is over $1,000 for 1 Nasdaq contract. Let's hop over into the next trade, and this right here is why I always recommend watching the indices. Sometimes Nasdaq or the Qs can be a lot less clean than SPY. If we look all the way over to the right here at the SPY chart, you can see that previous level of resistance that's turning into support. That gives me confirmation along with the added confluence of VIX decaying that I'm looking for a long position. This is also a common pattern that you're going to see a lot with Nasdaq. You'll get an initial breakout, a pullback, confirming where that breakout area was, and then a continuation to the upside. Now, the biggest trading I've made recently is focusing on holding holding my winners longer. As you'll see, my stop is already at break even. So the worst case scenario in this trade is I'll make like 20 bucks. Now I will start to trail that stop. However, I'm letting my trades work. And instead of instantly looking to get out and profit, one of the first things I'm looking to do is see, is my trade still valid? If I'm looking for longs, is the VIX decaying? Are the indices holding key levels? If so, I'm looking to add to that position. And that was a huge psychological flip for me. I used to just see profit, take profit, but I would never be able to build my account because I was shooting for 10 points on Nasdaq, and that's never going to grow your account exponentially. And that's where I really started to find some success, is use a trailing stop and let the trade work out, because previously I would just size too big and you can blow your accounts, because with a 50% win rate, that means 50% of your trades are going to be losers. And pause and think about that for a second. If you knew that your next trade was going to be a loser, would you still use the same size? If the answer is no, you need to size down. And if you truly want to see consistent results, it's going to take a repeatable pattern like this, whatever strategy you have, and appropriate risk sizing. You want to make sure that not only is the trade setup worth putting on risk, but also are you limiting your downside? Always focus on the downside first, not how much you think you could make. And as a general rule of thumb, you want to limit the number of trades you have per day, because anytime you're in a trade, you're exposing yourself to more risk, which means a trade is more likely to go against you. All right, I'm gonna hop off my soapbox and let's zoom in and focus on this trade. VIX was decaying, the indices are holding support, and Nasdaq has momentum looking to break these local highs. And if you're not familiar with Nasdaq, one thing you definitely needs to know is it is very momentum based. Once it gets going, it takes a lot to stop it. So you do not want to be on the wrong side of momentum. Instead, you can see we break that high and I immediately add that second contract because we have confirmation to the upside. And like I mentioned, I'm always trailing my stop to make sure no matter what in this trade, I lock in $1,000. And since we have a high volume node there, I'm tightening my trailing stop just in case price wants to start to reverse from this area. It was also that previous high area that we sold off from in the pre-market, but we still had momentum. VIX was decaying, so I did get back in here, which just furthermore solidifies that you do not want to try to short upward momentum on the Nasdaq. It can keep going. I know we've all been there to where we're like, it can't possibly keep going. I'm going to try to hop in a short here, and then it just continues to go and you end up blowing your account. And I only know that because the first 2 years of trading, I did that time and time and time again. But back to this trade, we're already break even, so at the very worst case, we'll get stopped out break even. But with the momentum, I'm looking to add another contract here. This is where you want to take advantage of the Nasdaq moves that you're given. And I think this is where a lot of traders end up making mistakes. You'll miss a trade like this, and then you'll get chopped up once the market starts to consolidate again, because you know you missed this huge move and you saw a bunch of other traders on social media making a ton of money for it. So then you try to make up for it and you chase and then you blow up. But we have had this huge move to the upside, so I'm just looking to trail my stop pretty tight, and I get stopped out right there for another $1,000. Now I left this little video clip in just to kind of show how choppy back and forth price can get after a huge move like that. And I think that's where a lot of traders end up struggling, is you'll try to short, you'll get stopped out, then you'll try to long and you'll get stopped out, and you just get really frustrated. And that is where back testing truthfully comes in. You have to be so confident with your strategy that you execute on it no matter what. If you wait and you don't execute, you're more likely to get chopped up in those areas. All right, for the 3 people that are probably still watching this video, let's hop into the last day. This is the 19th of February, and this is a really good setup that qualifies from the higher time frame. We had a ton of bottom wicks right around a previous level of support that I had identified. That with the top wicks on the VIX identifying that it's likely to decay allows me to look for a long setup. So I enter one Nasdaq contract, and I always set my stop to break even once we at least get 10 points into the trade. Now this right here is a flat top breakout. The more times price goes into a level, the more likely it is to eventually break it. It's kind of like if you're hitting something with a hammer, the more times you hit it, the weaker it gets and the more likely it is to break. And it's the same way away with these flat top breakouts. Buyers repeatedly press price into the sellers, and eventually the sellers can no longer hold that level. And this is something you get with more trading experience. You'll see these setups play out time and time again. That's why I add to this position anticipating a break through those highs. I wish I would have had my book map set up, because this would have been a perfect way to show absorption from the buyers getting ready to take out the sellers, and it'll show you how aggressively price will sweep and expand to the upside. This is also something I'm working at. I do get stopped out quite a bit because I initially trail my stop up too much, and then sometimes my take profit actually won't get hit because the level that I had to take profit for initially gets hit, but I moved it up right before the breakout happens. But all you can do as a trader is just try to get a little bit better each and every day, and that's what I'm going to try to document on this channel. So if you do like this content, or you have any questions or suggestions for future content, definitely make sure you drop that down below in the comments. I definitely make it a point to try and respond to each and every comment that I get, so definitely don't hesitate to reach out there. But back to this trade, you can see we get filled, and then no, there's no way. Do we really? Okay, we're gonna stop right before my TP. Yep, that's how it goes sometimes. And that's why I always talk about waiting for a break and retest, because a lot of initial breakouts fail. And you could see we took out those highs, but then we initially rejected. So you want to be patient and wait for confirmation that we're going to continue to the upside. And you'll see that very clearly with the bottom wick, which happens to align perfectly with these key larger high volume nodes. That indicates that buyers are stepping in this area. And that's why I'm so okay with taking a lot of these break-even trades or getting stopped out early, because you can always re-enter. As you can see, I had made $1,000 on that last trade, and then I just wait patiently to see if the break and retest will play out to the upside. And especially if you're looking for shorts in these areas, you're going to want to wait fully until the candle closes. The problem a lot of traders end up making is they see this first red candle and they immediately hop in a short, but they did not wait for the candle to close fully. And that's where a lot of my losses came in the beginning of my trading career, is I would immediately see price react at a level and hop in short right away, not waiting for the full candle to close, which you can see would immediately have you on the wrong side of this trade, because this bottom wick is very strong, indicating a lot of buying strength and continued momentum to the upside. So if you're in a short here, you're immediately getting stopped out, or you're in the red. And you can see how aggressive this is, and this is why stops are so important, because if you're short there, you want to stop out immediately above the highs, because if you don't, price can expand to the upside very fast. And what you'll notice is price continues to get bought up, and this candle actually ends up closing green, which you could have avoided taking a loss on a short if you just waited for that candle closure. And truthfully, this is probably one of the best feelings as a trader. Your stop is automatically above break even, and then the second you place your profit target, price directly goes into it. And yeah, hindsight is 2020. I did get out of this trade a little bit early, but that locked in $1,200 on each account for the day, and we were coming into that daily open level, which I talk about in my videos as being a place where price can start to reject from, at least on the first try. So yeah, that was a good end to February. Hopefully we're able to keep the consistency going, get some payouts, and do some recaps for Funded Futures family. If you have any feedback, it'd be much appreciated. I hope everyone's start to the year has been solid so far, and don't hesitate to ask any questions or submit any video ideas for future videos. Yeah, so catch y'all on the next one.